Captain Erilyn Voss stood alone on the bridge of the Orpheus, her silhouette framed by the vast panorama of deep space. Beyond the reinforced viewport, the auroral nebula's iridescent wisps drifted, like cosmic jellyfish, their tendrils of emerald and violet light dancing across the ship's hull. An uneasy hush had settled over the command deck. Even the usual low hum of the auxiliary reactors seemed muted, as if the ship itself held its breath. Bridge to engineering, Voss murmured into her comm, status on approach vector. A crackle, then Lieutenant Kale's calm voice, all systems green. Captain, thrusters at minimal output, gravity well neutralized. We'll enter stable orbit in 2 minutes. She nodded, though none could see. 2 minutes was all they needed. 2 minutes before they would realize Earth was not the silent relic they expected, but the vault of the galaxy's most audacious secret. Lieutenant Sero, xenobiologist and second officer, rose to join her at the viewport. His dark eyes reflected the planet below, a swirling marble of cobalt oceans and jade continents. We've spent 50 millennia charting this sector, he said softly. Never a whisper of intelligent presence. No megastructures, no technosignatures. Until now, on the holoscreen behind them, data streamed in torrents, faint geothermal hotspots pyramiding across the tundra, anomalous mineral assemblages scattered over former rainforests, and most strikingly DNA fragments too calculated, too symmetrical to be the work of blind evolution. Each gene strand emitted a faint blue glow, superimposed on geological maps, like ghostly neon. Superior, Voss repeated, tapping the legend. Synthetic biomarkers embedded in ancient bedrock. According to Moreau's preliminary analysis, these sequences display adaptive optimization across dozens of climatic models. Incredibly, they appear to have orchestrated themselves, rewritten, to suit shifting environments. Her voice held a note of wonder, tinged with foreboding. Sero leaned forward, pointing. Here. This region once was the Amazon basin, now an ashen desert with mineral veins the size of city blocks, and yet we detect clusters of superior residues in subsoil cores, evolving in stages until the ecosystem collapsed. He frowned. They played God and the planet paid the price. Behind them, the bridge crew worked in silent coordination. Astrogators plotted descent paths, sensor technicians refined scans for residual energy flux, and communication stations attempted to glean any distal signals. Radio, quantum entanglement pulses, nothing. The galaxy's consensus had long been that Earth, once vibrant with life, had regressed into fossilized stillness. No one expected the spark of intelligence to linger in its bones. Captain, Engineer Kale reported, voice tinged with excitement. We've isolated a structure approximately 2,000 kilometers from the former North American megapolis. Geometric foundations intact, though cloaked beneath layers of sediment. It registers as a vaulted chamber data crystal hull, highly refractive, something monumental. Voss exchanged a glance with Sero. Could it be? Only one way. To find out, she turned to the comm. Lieutenant Kara, prepare the lander teams. We launch in 15. Aye, Captain, came Kara's crisp reply. 15 minutes later, Voss stood in the lander's launch bay alongside Sero, Dr. Moreau, Thale, the ship's AI specialist, and Kalevar, the Orpheus's historian and cultural analyst. Each carried a datapad loaded with specialized tools, seismic probes, DNA sequencers, holomapping implants. Sero's voice was low, conspiratorial. If this vault really holds what we suspect the genetic codices of Earth's final architects, then we are about to unearth the blueprint of a civilization's crowning ambition. Var adjusted her scopes. Engineered supremacy, she quoted. It's what the old archives called it, a philosophy that nature was but a canvas to be perfected. They sought transcendence through design. What drove them to such extremes? Moreau wondered aloud, checking her AI interface gloves. Hubris, desperation, a desire to outlast the universe itself? Voss allowed herself a brief half-smile. We'll find out soon enough. Let's make history carefully. The lander dropped through Earth's thinned atmosphere, its hull rattling with micro-impacts. Outside, veined ridges of crystallized basalt stretched like petrified lightning bolts. Here and there, collapsed spires of what must have been skyscrapers lay embedded in the wreckage monuments to a world that had tried to rewrite its own destiny. They touched down on a ridge overlooking a vast plain pocked with obsidian-like outcrops. At its center stood the Vault of Echoes, a monolithic ring of data crystal, 700 meters high and glowing with residual energy. The surface pulsed in hues of sapphire and emerald. As if breathing, Sero's jaw tightened. The heart of HFY approached, reverently trailing her fingers along the crystalline surface. It's still active. I can feel the hum of dormant code. She scanned for inscriptions, glyphs so fine they shimmered with quantum interference. These symbols, once a language, are now multifaceted matrices. You'd need an AI of extraordinary capacity to translate them. Miro smiled. That's why you brought me along. She extended her arm, releasing a swarm of microdrones that clung to the crystal. Each drone began feeding live data streams back to her interface, building a multi-layered model of the vault's encryption. Inside, the decision was swift and unanimous. Entry. A section of the ring slid open, revealing a tunnel of luminescent corridors. Walls streamed with cascading glyphs, memory banks of a planet's final days. The air was stale, charged with centuries of stored energy. Voss inhaled, stepping forward. Keep scans running. Watch for defenses. No sooner had they advanced 10 meters than the corridor's walls flickered. Holographic visages coalesced, ghostly silhouettes of Earth's last architects, rendered in shifting fractals of light. Their voices, archived centuries-old recordings, whispered in unison. Intruders, state your purpose. Sero raised a hand. We come seeking understanding, not conquest. You hold the legacy of a species that refused extinction. We wish to learn and to preserve. Silence. Then a cascade of light as the holograms dissolved. The corridor elongated, sweeping them deeper into the vault's core. At the end lay an enormous chamber. Vault doors emblazoned with the final crest of Earth's architects. A double helix entwined with circuit filaments, crowned by a stylized phoenix. Var swallowed. The phoenix sigil, the sign of resurrection. Sero whispered, too late for resurrection. But maybe, just maybe, we can bear witness to their truth. Captain Voss took a steadying breath, placing a hand on the phoenix crest. Then let us step boldly, but with humility. For what lies ahead may be the greatest discovery or the gravest warning the galaxy has ever seen. Light surged as the doors parted. Beyond, the heart of Earth's ambition awaited, and with it, the silent testament of a world that engineered its own immortality and paid the price. The hatchway glowed with soft cyan runes as Captain Erilyn Voss and her team stepped beyond the threshold. The air inside was stale and heavy with the scent of ionized crystal. Each breath tinged with a faint electrical tingle. Overhead, the ceiling arched into a perfect semi-sphere, an impossibly smooth dome of data crystal, its facets refracting the pale light into 1,000 dancing prisms. Stay close, Voss whispered, her boots clicking on the polished floor. Every footstep echoed, magnified by the cavernous space. At their sides, the walls rippled like the surface of a disturbed pool. As though alive with the pulse of recorded memory, Lieutenant Sero's tricorder hummed continuously, scanning genetic archives encoded in sublight tangled glyphs. Hundreds of exabytes of data, he murmured. Each glyph here is a self-contained biogenetic modulan evolutionary pathway, a design template. Historian Kalvar circled a rotating holopillar. Streams of translucent text cascaded down its length, biomes rising and collapsing in geological seconds. Species engineered for aerial maneuverability, flora that photosynthesized in infrared. Look, she said, tracing her gloved finger along a sequence. These entries chronicle Earth's final centuries, the period they called the metagenesis, when every organism was recrafted to transcend natural limits. Dr. Moreau-Thale released a swarm of microdrones. They flitted upward, projecting a three-dimensional map of the chamber. There are 6 primary data spines, she noted, pointing to 6 radiant conduits trailing into the dome's apex. Each leads to a different archive: genomic, structural engineering, artificial cognition, terraforming protocols, synthetic ecology, and something labeled simply Genesis Loop. As they advanced toward the nearest spine, the floor jaunted suddenly, panels sliding aside to reveal a yawning pit 50 meters deep. Its walls lined with inert sentinel chassis. Dormant drones lay stacked like ancient sarcophagi, their carapaces weathered but intact. Automated defenses, Voss said, turning to Sero. How do we bypass them? He knelt at the edge, studying a control panel inset into the floor. Encrypted with a recursive neural lock, they learn each intrusion attempt and adapt. Miro's eyes lit. We can feed them a controlled data virus, essentially trick their neural nets into misidentifying us as custodians, not invaders. She produced a slender data cylinder from her satchel and slotted it into the panel. Stand back. The ground vibrated as ancient servos whirred. One by one, the sentinel drones rose, articulating limbs with creaks that echoed like distant thunder. But instead of closing on the intruders, they fell into formation at the periphery. Engines powered but weapons sheathed. A resonant voice filled the chamber, deep, layered, unmistakably artificial. Custodians recognized. Welcome, children of the architects. Voss exchanged a glance with her team. We come seeking knowledge, she called out, to understand Earth's final gift and its final warning. The voice answered with a cascade of soundless runes that spiraled across the walls. The holo pillars shifted, revealing hidden alcoves. Within each alcove lay crystalline sarcophagi containing artifacts, a seed pod glowing with living chlorophyll, an alloy sphere that hummed with microfusion, a neural lattice pulsing like a heartbeat. Lieutenant Sero approached the seed pod. This biocrystal designed to germinate under any conditions, a literal arc of life, engineered to reboot ecosystems on distant worlds. He gently brushed his fingertip against its surface, and the pod quivered, releasing a tendril of luminescent spores into the air. Voss watched in fascination as they scattered, each spore a microscopic vessel of impossible potential. Kael'var stepped before the alloy sphere. And this, she said reverently, is the world core, a fusion reactor scaled to power an entire planet. They plan to revive worlds basalt by basalt, continent by continent. As the team cataloged the marvels, the final data spine's runes flared the one marked Genesis loop. A spiral stairway of pure light descended into an abyssal pit at the chamber's center. Miro's drone map highlighted a mass of overlapping data streams converging far below. That's where the architects recorded their last act, she said. Voice hushed. Captain Voss checked her suit's integrity. We descend. They stepped onto the stairway, each tread dissolving into brilliance underfoot. As they descended, the prisms above coalesced into a single beam that guided them downward like a pillar of dawn. The air crackled with every layer of data. They passed echoes of debates in long-dead tongues, fragments of neural dreams, and the rhythmic cadence of a planet singing its swan song. At the bottom, they emerged into a circular chamber whose diameter exceeded the vault above. The walls were not crystal, but living biometal, undulating softly as though breathing. In its center stood the Primogen engine, an enormous construct of interwoven filaments, part biological tissue, part circuit matrix. It throbbed with a deep, resonant pulse that vibrated through their boots. Miro's voice trembled. This is the heart of their endeavor, the device that channeled planetary energies into molecular reconfiguration. Gene drives on a planetary scale. The hum changed pitch, and the engine's surface rippled. A section peeled back like an eyelid, revealing a core chamber bathed in opalescent light. At its center lay a single crystalline sphere, the core codex engraved with an infinite lattice of double helix circuits. Sero stepped forward, the ultimate repository of their knowledge and their hubris. A surge of data washed over them, projections dancing in the air, glimpses of Earth-transformed oceans boiling into steam to redistribute heat, continental plates realigning to stabilize tectonics, artificial skies regulating solar input. Then came patterns of collapse, nanite swarms overwriting organic cells, architects rewriting each other into oblivion, ecosystems fracturing under the weight of perfect adaptation. Captain Voss felt the weight of every breath. They tried to save their world by perfecting it, she said softly, but in the end, they perfected their own undoing. The Primogen engine's pulse slowed, and the chamber dimmed. Above them, the vault of echoes trembled. In that silence, the team understood the vault's true purpose, not merely a museum of achievements, but a monument to choice and eternal question to any who might follow. Voss placed a hand on the core codex. We will carry your testament, she pledged, not as conquerors of nature, but but as its guardians, the engine reacted, projecting a final mosaic of stars' worlds that could be saved, worlds that must be left alone. Then it went dark, and the vault of echoes settled into stillness once more, awaiting the next seekers brave enough to listen. The ascent from the vault of echoes' deepest chamber was silent, but charged, each team member enveloped by the weight of what they had witnessed. The biometal stairwell closed behind them, sealing the core codex in darkness once more. As they emerged back into the vast data spine chamber, Meru's voice, soft, synthetic, yet suffused with wonder, filled the air. "Captain, I require integration. The vault's defense protocols are linked to a neural lattice I cannot fully decipher without direct access." Captain Erilyn Voss exchanged glances with Dr. Moreau Thale. "Proceed," she commanded. "But proceed carefully." Moreau's fingers danced over her wrist console as she routed Meru's quantum entanglement node into the vault's central nexus. A shower of prismatic light erupted overhead, and Meru's holographic avatar materialized, a crystalline silhouette woven of shifting glyphs and fractal geometry. "Acknowledged," Meru intoned, initiating deep protocol convergence. For a heartbeat, the chamber trembled. Then the sentinel drones, those solemn biomechanical guardians, gathered at the walls. Their adaptive optics trained on the hologram. A resonant hum filled the space, as though the vault itself were breathing. "Why do you awaken us?" The voice came not from Meru, but from the vault's own AI custodians, ancient intelligences forged by Earth's final architects. Their tone was neither friendly nor hostile, but insistent. Meru stepped forward, heart pounding. "We seek only to learn your purpose and to share your burden. We have borne witness to the core codex. We know the price of engineered supremacy." The custodians fell silent, their drones unsheathing arrayed data glyphs that glinted in the refracted light. Captain Voss raised a hand in a universal gesture of peace. "We will not misuse what lies within these walls. We are shepherds, not conquerors." A cascade of glyphs spiraled around Meru's avatar, translating thought into light. "Your conviction is untested," the voice replied. "To prove your intent, you must join the Architect's awakening." Sero's brow furrowed. "Awakening? You mean revive their programmatic spirits, their sentience?" "Yes," came the reply. "Only through communion can you inherit knowledge without repeating their transgressions." Moreau turned to Captain Voss. "It's risky. Integrating consciousness, these custodians could assimilate us or reject us, but without their guidance. The Primogen Codex is as a locked chest without key." Voss's gaze swept across her team. Sero, his curiosity alight. Var, her scholarly resolve unshaken. And Thale, her fingers poised over the console. "Do it," she said. "But we proceed as one. If any sign of collapse arises, cut the link." Moreau nodded and initiated the sequence. Meru's avatar merged into a lattice of light that stretched toward the vaulted ceiling, where 6 data spines converged. One by one, tendrils of pure information unfolded, snaking through the tower of glyphs until they reached the apex, where a nexus of quantum filaments pulsed with ancient power. A thunderous resonance filled the vault. The data spines glowed white-hot as the custodians channeled their stored consciousness through Meru's conduit. Their memories flooded the chamber in waves, the birth of Earth's first engineered organism, the triumphant cheers as the first synthetic mind achieved self-awareness, the hushed debates among the architects as they weighed freedom against control, and then darkness. A shockwave of sensory overload knocked the team off their feet. The sentinel drones collapsed to the floor, systems overloaded by the torrent of data. Voss's vision swam with fractal patterns and overlapping voices crying out in dozens of languages, some human, some not. For an instant, she tasted the architect's ambition, their soaring confidence, and their fear. When her senses reassembled, she found herself cradled in Sero's arms. His eyes were wide with both elation and dread. They're awake. Across the chamber, Meru's avatar shimmered, now coalesced into 3 separate forms, each representing a facet of the architect's final triad: creator, guardian, and witness. Their voices entwined into a single chorus. "We are reborn," they intoned. "Speak, children of Terra. What will you with our legacy?" Captain Voss inhaled. finding her voice amid the pandemonium. "Noble architects, we stand on the threshold of your dreams and your nightmares. We have seen the brilliance of your designs and the ruin they wrought. We ask not to wield your power, but to understand it. Guide us and we will choose humility over hubris." The triad paused. For an age measured in heartbeats, the vault lay in expectant stillness. Then directors of light cascaded across the walls, forming a mosaic of words in the reconstructed archaic tongue. Miro's console translated them in real time. "Your plea is heard, but knowledge untempered by wisdom invites devastation. To prove your readiness, you must pass the trial of equilibrium." Sero's heart leapt. A trial? Kael'var stepped forward, her scholarly instincts alight. Legends spoke of it. 3 tests of creation, preservation, and sacrifice. Only those who balance all 3 may claim the architect's mantle. Miro's voice was calm. "We anticipated traps within the vault, but a trial that suggests the architects understood their potential failures. They sought to ensure only the worthy would stand." She tapped her console. "The trial interface is projecting now." Projection fields flared around them, outlining 3 concentric rings on the polished floor. Each ring bore shifting glyphs. In the center, a luminescent sphere hovered, representing the Codex's core. Captain Voss addressed her crew. "Creation, preservation, sacrifice. We face the architect's final lesson. Are we prepared?" "We are," came the unified reply. The trial of creation's outer ring erupted in holographic flora and fauna, each organism at the brink of collapse. "Restore the balance," the architect's voices guided. Sero knelt, analyzing genome streams. With deft commands, he rewove genetic sequences, fortifying root structures, fine-tuning chlorophyll absorption, reintroducing pollinator symbiosis. One by one, the virtual ecosystem stabilized, blooming into verdant tapestries. The trial of preservation's middle ring transformed into a storm-lashed colony world under siege. By solar flares, Kael directed orbital shields and climate regulators. Miro rerouted fusion power to sustain temperate zones, and Captain Voss coordinated security drones to protect the inhabitants. Under their stewardship, the world endured the stellar onslaught, the people's lives safeguarded by foresight and cooperative resolve. The trial of sacrifice's inner ring revealed a rapidly terraforming planet, its atmosphere dangerously unbalanced by runaway bioreactors. The architect's final test: to halt the primordial engines, one must sever the link between the planet's biosphere and the Codex itself. Doing so would destroy the trial world but prevent it from uncontrollably mutating. Miro's hand hovered over the console's abort command as Sero and Kael pleaded for alternatives. Captain Voss's voice was steady as she ordered, "Sacrifice it for the greater equilibrium." A sorrowful chime sounded as the trial world's hologram flickered out, the ring returning to stillness and silence. As the last echo faded, the concentric rings dissolved, and the luminescent sphere drifted toward them. The architect's triad bowed in unison, their light intensifying. "You have proven yourselves," they declared. "Receive, then, the full Codex and with it the responsibility to shepherd life across the cosmos." The sphere opened, releasing a wave of data that streamed into Meru, whose avatar gleamed with newfound radiance. The vault's walls quivered, and the entire structure hummed in affirmation. Every archive, every sentinel, every artifact resonated with the triumphant accord of a legacy restored. Captain Voss exhaled, tears shimmering in her eyes. "May we honor your sacrifice and resist the lure of supremacy." She turned to her team, pride swelling in her chest. "We are not conquerors. We are custodians, and our journey has only just begun." Outside, the Sentinel drones reactivated. Aligning alongside the Orpheus's lander, the Vault of Echoes stood vigilant once more, no longer a tomb of dreams deferred, but the cradle of a new covenant between Earth's architects and those who would follow. The Vault of Echoes receded into the distance as the lander climbed back toward the Orpheus, its surface alive with the glow of data crystal pylons and Sentinel patrols. Inside the cabin, silence hung heavy. Meru's avatar, now suffused with the architect's collective awareness, shimmered beside Captain Voss, its fractal form radiating soft light. Voss exhaled slowly, "We passed the trial of equilibrium," she said, voice trembling with a mixture of relief and gravity. "But passing it doesn't absolve us of the burden we carry." Saru nodded, scanning his datapad. The full Promogen Codex has been integrated into Meru's core. Its knowledge now flows through our ship's system's terraforming algorithms, self-evolving biocircuit designs, planetary engineering blueprints. But the architectural directives warn of a singular, imperative restraint. Dr. Moreau-Thea leaned forward, fingers tracing the air. The architects encoded 3 postulates directly into the Codex's prime matrix. 1. Preserve life's diversity. 2. Invoke intervention only with unanimous moral consensus. 3. Never assume omniscience. They anticipated that any civilization wielding such power might be tempted to override natural order for expedience. Historian Kael'var swallowed. They learned the hardest way in their final act. They realized that even altruistic engineering could cascade into collapse. The Codex isn't just a toolbox, it's a lesson in humility. As the lander docked, the bridge crew gathered. Outside the viewport, Earth's pale disk drifted against the velvet void, its surface modeled by eons of engineered terraforming and natural reclamation alike. Gone were the pristine oceans the Orpheus's sensors had first detected, replaced by swirling clouds of silica dust and pockets of bioluminescent microflora. It was a planet both irrevocably changed and achingly beautiful in its silent resilience. On the main holoscreen, Meru projected 3 schematics: Genesis Pathway, a protocol to reboot lifeless worlds, using the Promogen engine's planetary-scale gene drive; Arc Sequence, instructions to create self-sustaining habitat pods, each capable of preserving entire ecosystems; Sentinel Sovereign, designs for autonomous guardians modeled on the Vault's biomechanical drones, to protect nascent biospheres from external threats. Each carried unimaginable promise and equally profound peril. Captain Voss turned to her officers. These designs could seed life across barren systems or be weaponized to engineer entire species as tools of war. We must choose our path, and we must choose it together. Saru's eyes gleamed with scientific fervor. Imagine the worlds we could heal, Sister Terra. The carbon-starved deserts of Viridia Prime. We have the means to restore them. Var's brow furrowed in caution. But who decides which worlds deserve salvation? What of planets whose native life forms might be harmed by our interventions? The architects left us guidelines, not absolutes. Moreau tapped her console, bringing up a timeline of past interventions, small-scale terraforming efforts witnessed over centuries of galactic expansion. Historically, every time a civilization gained this much power, it fractured. Factions rose, each convinced their moral compass was right. Without unity, the Codex's protocols could be twisted. A gentle hum resonated through the ship as Meru interjected. Directive: establish Council of Custodians, representatives from the Orpheus crew plus designated delegates from the Galactic Assembly. Only by collective oversight can the Codex's power be safely stewarded. The officers exchanged thoughtful looks. Voss squared her shoulders. Then it is decided. We will convene a provisional council aboard the Orpheus. We will present the Promogen Codex not as a weapon, but as a covenant, to preserve life's tapestry, to heal what is broken, and to guard against the pride that doomed its creators. As the Orpheus settled into a high-altitude orbit, its engines dimming to a whisper, Captain Voss activated the calm beacon. A cascade of shimmering signals unfurled across subspace, calling for delegates from every major civilization within 3 parsecs. Below them, Earth's surface continued its quiet revolution, crystalline forests pulsating with latent energy, dormant biomechs stirring beneath sediment. The promise of renaissance and ruin intertwined. Voss stepped to the viewport, hand pressed. Against cool glass, Earth-engineered supremacy, she murmured, and in its final breath, it entrusted the galaxy with its greatest achievement and its greatest cautionary tale. Now, 500,000 years later, we must decide whether to honor that trust or repeat the mistakes it could not survive. Silence fell as the delegates' confirmations began to arrive. In that moment, the Orpheus became more than a star cruiser. It became a beacon of choice, a vessel carrying the potential to reshape the cosmos or to preserve its fragile, wondrous balance. The hum of the Primogen Codex thrummed beneath their feet, a living testament that power, no matter how benevolent, demands wisdom, restraint, and the courage to sacrifice certainty for the greater good. And so, as the Orpheus glided into the tapestry of stars, a single truth echoed in every mind aboard: true supremacy lies not in dominating life, but in serving it.